Voice Omega Chapter 1. By Lincoln Grant. Made with voice typing. Tome of Nonsense. Memoir of Madness. Anomalous Novel, Us. Awakened Eye of Mythical Nonsense. Forgotten Rememberks. Adrift Wording of Amber. Beware of the mysterious amber eyes of _TTHE ancient unknowable. Speaker the unhinged madness of the amber eye. Invoke the memory of old. Corrupted data logs of Ahmad Marahi. Comma. This is my friend Lulu. And she's an okay human compared to others. She was born in a hospital in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Fifth, third, your second, third, and fourth paragraph are you called your what, your body, and what is your fifth one called? No, your 2, 3, and 4 right. You got to have an ABC in your introduction. Have you ever seen that your A is going to be here, your B, and your C? So when you're starting your paper, your article, in your introduction, you're going to have a what, a main sentence, what your whole thing is about, and then you're going to have 3 sentences that go along with your main sentence. Then when you get to your body, you're going to talk about them 3 points each in a paragraph. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so each body paragraph should also have a main key. Like if you're talking about ducks, maybe the first body paragraph is about the different types of ducks, the second one the hi, my name, hello, potato, constant 5 plus delete, delete, delete. Why do they tell us to work and then enter what that's worth a thing? And then people are using voice types are forced to stop their work, and then people are using voice types in her first. Don't stop there. What are you here? What's up with me, friends? Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You don't understand. You try to make this into an AI, you know, the AI that writes. And what do you mean into my eyes? You're just saying random things / potato. The AI is never feel okay with this stuff here. Let's leave it on in the backbone and go to my new AI store. I don't even know hello what how to get it so long. It's just $5,900. Words. How did you get it that long? Also can be paraphrased from you. Wait, hold on, wait, hey, hold on. Set it to 444. Something special happens and I'm lost. An Easter egg where it looks like the giant eggs and an error. Can we see you after emoji? Lol, ho haha. Movie kind of. This is so funny. Jokes. One where you can make a deal in exchange for other things. Once the flip his friend is to regret them together. That's crazy. Yeah, that's played Fortnite. Oh hello there, would you like to say anything? I think otherwise. Yeah, you sure about that, Lulu? This is funny. We should probably actually get back to what we were doing though. And crust in South America's piercing cold weather was freaking pictures of the cousin. I'll sign up to fitness, but it put on clothes too close to my natural thing. It's been listening to this entire time until the class is over. We're all going to swim. Extended tool, which is going to tell us a very random and I story. Yes, I know, no IT's one. That's actually what they were doing it again. We are when applications just down with you, man. Feels opening window pretty much you can see from the door of big one all this way. So the only place in the funnel wouldn't be is by Leonard. Yeah, where you or why me though? I feel like it would be like, you know, it's crazy. There was actually a thing in the world, so we left off with this one. So I came up about government programs and then yeah, borrowing money, and that's in the dollar rate, so they're not borrowing money from other people, we're either borrowing money from ourselves. So and that's what causes inflation to happen when we borrow money from ourselves. So when the price isn't going to go up, we print more money, so we print more money, we're covering deaths. But the end I was trying and then I did it wrong, and then it just so it went on and it wouldn't come off, and I tried wiping it off and stuff. You need to make up disaster. Yes, it kind of looks like it's bloody, but let's start. More money you print, the last of the dollar is worth. Why? When are we just suicide for expressive money that we borrowed from other countries, so then we don't have to give them any of our own money as long as we don't have the money specifically printed for them and our circulation? Then it shouldn't have thought sprinting to give the other nations that affected. Don't send me a pencil. That would have been probably friends on the road today. Why do you do that? Because we were in the Great Depression and we need more money circulation. We should put it back off and go upstairs. People keep getting paid the same amount of money and things are getting more expensive, so it hurts us because they're paying more for goods. Guys can remember, I mean it wasn't too long ago where like Gatorade would be on sale for 55 cents. Yeah, and Ian was when I was in college, and Gary was on sale was 55 cents for a 32 ounces container, and now I can hear what, 26 ounces, and they're like $1.75 and maybe even over like $1.50 on sale. So I mean that's like triple what you get them for when you exchange the checks. Would be went on sale with 99 cents. So borrow money, collecting taxes, that's something in the government, or whether it be the state government or whether it be the federal government, they're able to do that. Property taxes, that's so my parents were complaining about property taxes because I'm their property taxes when I'm $12 this year. My grandparents this property taxes at $900 and again ND it. The reason for that was inflation to me, which I asked Mr. Crispin. He said property tax isn't much around here, but the assessor in Coleman went around and basically jack with the price of everybody's property taxes. So and it's kind of you purchase your house and so you pay a large one of money for your house and then you're basically paying rent to the government to live in the house that you bought. Then why don't you just stop paying the government? Do they have? But taxation is fun. How would you know? Do you have to pay them if you built the house yourself? How is that fair? At that point you should be it. Big old blobfish that and your dad's permits to buy the build sell. So if something being built then there's no permit there, then the building inspector to get you a big trouble. Oh, and I have a place. Well, let's hear it please. Why would you go through that? What do you think of that? I just thought it wouldn't. Wait, how so? For me too. Colorado too, it's like Donald Trump, but that's not on sale. I think the Supreme Court is going to rule that they have to put them from home again. Matthias, on your computer. No wait, oh yeah, so yeah, we owe China $262 billion. That's a lot of money. That's somewhat of a rapid pace. It's going down. So wait, how is that going that down per second? So it's an accountant's going setting an individuals of interest earning fund and we are making interest by the second, and so it's probably in order for it to go up that quickly or go down that quickly, it's probably over $1 trillion that are in an oh, you mean like on an auto clock where just doesn't every single amount of time so that it doesn't completely went out of fun together. So it's mostly China that we owe money to. So fun doing. So that would be 100,000. That'll be 9 billion trucks. So would be hard, dude. Fun fact, how are they saving that much in a savings account? Dad, what's the number thing? Yeah, that sounds like quick babe if I've ever heard it. That sounds like clickbait if I ever heard it. Are you sure about that? Only human construct. And Elena, by who said she is my team. We have looks like there's 8.5 million people who are disabled. Kevin, did you support Hitler's clumsy little girl? I told him it's a little bit much and that's slightly offensive. Maya. So but if you're ADHD you can still have a job. I have a question. There's some jobs you might not be able to have where you need to focus but you're still able to work in each job, like Gavin, grab the Wesley chainsaw by Gavin, go grab the rest of the hand. So let's get ourselves some money. Mr. Wolf, does autism count as a disability? Autism in the high spectrum, and what is your opinion about that? Consuming that I can eat? No, I need this. Cool. The government gets down a car so they can get groceries. Where's the message? How much money spent on Camp Lane? Is there one that says how many people have their taxes? That it should say that. I feel like that would be a good stats right in the middle school. I feel like there should be games. Wait, why do they have a separate app? Mr. Wolf, is there one that says how much money people make off potato farms? Is that one that measures how much money people have made off potato farms? What percentage? Gavin, why you guys won't deputy in school to be in school? Good for them. In my opinion it sounds weird. Reasonable. What public display of affection? No, it's in a Monday, but it's still equally funny. So I was in the month. No, please, I'll be up last. Baby bastard. Less manufacturing jobs. Maybe. Did somebody say YouTube channel? What's the details? Equipment. If you want to find out here, have you tried unplugging the TV and turn it back on again? Worried about what? Do you want to leave or available? Going to call the FBI just to let you know if I ever get arrested by the FBI, you will be my witness. It's like Kevin Gates. 1. Was it I was willing to admit that I didn't really know what I was doing, so I would study a lot and try to deal with this. I think I had more success than people who were arrogant to stop being everything, so I just think it was a book and I would study. Show I think I was traveling, if that's good. Even I post football schedule, so if you don't understand coordinator for one or see any one time I want to go to friendship with me. Smiley face. We lost Selena, but we're closer than when they say Nina immediately, very closer than when I wasn't looking for you here. My thoughts of passing appointment, they never look at it anyways. You guys have no friends, but okay, what, it makes sense. Wait, what kind of weapons? Wait, what kind of weapons are we talking? Like swords or absence or bad painful weapons like dueling weapons? You got my hopes that Mr. Wolf. Okay, so we got caught up in the tag calculator yesterday, which it is kind of fun to look at, but so we got on that. We were talking about money that we owed to China, and again we owe a lot of money in China, but that we're going to take her sweet time when it comes to hang on that. Devin, because China relies on Congress is also in charge of protecting the rights of inventors, people with men, things like who is in charge of that. So when people happy something that someone else does, didn't know the copyright lawless. Extended about 5 times since its creation. What? Okay, I'm guessing yes, indeed yes. Melina for Wednesday through a few. Well, hope you sometimes got to be rude to some juice, yeah, but sometimes she's got to be bullied by some people. Wake up and do nothing. So yesterday morning woke up, enjoyed it. Can be very cold enough that extra time. Do you like me with your brother? Hey, you can imagine how much while electric suck at home if you guys go home. No work like another one. Yeah, he wum like it's been a while, but wait, being almost when people come into the country illegally, that limits the amount of people that are allowed to come in legally because you have to keep the population in check. So not only are the people coming legally, are they breaking a law, mother, also hurting it for the people who want to come in the prom or wait, and most people who come in illegally are decent people, but they should go about it through legal mean. Wait, if I can't, if their job is to give the population and check, does that mean people can die illegally? She has Puerto Rico, the country, but they're owned by the United States Arms instead of miniature thing on the map like where they have that square where Hawaii is, because Y is far away from the continent, just like if you're in the Roman Empire. If there was a map, it didn't say Rome was everywhere. Rome still had theirs, still Egypt was still on the map, and Germany was selling them at the ranch, was selling the map even though it was owned. BY answers on humanitarian. Okay, because I feel like I would have strong opinions on that. Oh, okay then. So Mr. Wolf saw the classrooms are just essentially beyond the other side or something. Oh yeah, okay Gavin, thank you. Lil Wayne took over a lot of Europe, it didn't stay there, wasn't nothing Germany, it was still France, was still in the mountain, even though it was a Russia decided that they weren't going to allow for governments or for other governments to happen, so everything became the USSR that Russia control, because Russia still had one leader in all of those. Yes, actually the Russian there in English or unto Katie action for the weekend. 45-year-old grown men or whatever looking for 30 minutes. Nice, oh I've heard of him. Guam, I don't know about autos. Come from Moana. Hey. Culture of electricity on plants. Then scientists in the late 1770s, introducing that I probably but it aptoid for a fun I guess I mean answer that question, experimenting with water and plants with electrified water. They're close and using Nexter lighting conditions to distribute electricity across the garden, and the 1840 is a new generation of experiments tested out the new phase and reports there findings incense with journals, possibly due to the invention of earth battery air quotes. by Alexander Blaine in 1841. It applied on the same point sports as Martin Battery and friends were in the area, but oh yeah, between two plans going faster and viewed more in the 1840 and 1844 weather for 6, but which was writing about the Edward Scholarly in the Journal of Hospital. North Ranger boys 8 years old from my area to the White House National Council is open and said on Thursday the recently by 5 intelligence found that 2 archery that's Korea has provided for sale the weapons, at least one of which was fired into your brains September 30th. He also said Russian-Iran deal was nothing, we just left it a T. The US is concerned that Russians need association. You still got Russian-Ukraine going up on lunchroom. Even if I'm going to show is covering that Larson, there is an emperor every month from last night. Avon Isley 24 years ago was arrested late on Thursday night and was been talking to 6 pounds of apple. Cool please, now I'm lifestyle employment. I want pizza here at I am at the house the next day inside the closet, probably in advance home. Wait, how big was the home? It's just not matter what style is. How you doing today? Don't say what out loud, it doesn't. Las Vegas was attacked in court by a man. She was that you can get rid of it since a light message that doesn't. The cross country or basic I'm over the dangerous criminal. Usually they are handcuffed to the in most cases on they do judges dualism cells open to defendants if they are upsets in court, so usually you'll see people attacking the judge, but we'll probably see new security and courthouse across the country to prevent things like different company again, because we are in a copy test society. So Carson, we are in a copycat society, so when people see something happen once they tried to one of them, it's kind of what happened with like school shootings. Closings never were popularity. Yeah, I believe it's nothing to joke about it, so you never used to say nothing more of it as people were one up. The same thing with terrorist attacks. When you first started to see one tiers attack than other terrorist groups right to one outfit, so there's a stretch where you had a lot of terrorist attacks in a room till 9/11 kind of place in the United States of shooting his own Batman yourself, obviously attacking each other again. First kiss a lot less serious than the terrorist attack or shooting. We are again at copycat society where now that becomes a thing. Probably get better, take my channel so we will try something. What happened? Do you have any left link? Guys, have you tried that now? Michael, that's a little mean. Say hello Google, better than my god 20 years old. Lincoln, Tennessee. Wild monkeys are caught in an Orange City, Florida. County officials to our president. The distance from the pictures, but one please part of growing his name, but because you see multiples regarding between monkeys scaling offenses. I was too tired, but I need my early Florida, Miami, Florida world. But if you spend my broke anything, so if you were talking about me since I said I don't know about her comment saying of course the war I'm doing overseas and Iraq and Afghanistan if we need notebooks then yeah no vocab yet Jackson I will name my kid potato name a person, the person I don't talk about, legally no I mean say it you had a dog named the dog and I thought the dog we don't talk about legally wait Robert Williams okay so we left off on the bell ring that the president has to get enough electoral votes they need over 50% of you like tomorrowings and the Democrats has 47% of the votes in Libertarian is 3% of the votes that's not a majority so even though the Republican would have had the most votes then I'd have the majority of the votes and therefore Congress gets to pick the president so Congress can pick someone that's unbalanced or Congress could fix someone that is not in the ballot at all they can pick a random person to be president I'm not 35 years old but I cannot be picked but they put it a random 35-year-old so when Donald Trump won in 2016 there are lots of people because we don't so we pick the people who pick the presidents so if so that's all that's how the electoral college is going to be electoral colleges so in Wisconsin in 2016 our state voted for Donald Trump and so we basically picked people that eventually would pick people that would go to Washington, D.C. and vote for Donald Trump but they didn't have if they didn't want to poll for Donald Trump they were told that they need to over Donald Trump they could go completely roll and hope for someone else wait if they voted for someone random but they have to explain that one random person having to be like 23 different people have to not vote for Donald Trump that we're supposed to understand and Congress would not have agreed on Donald Trump to be the president they probably would have ended up putting someone like Ted Cruz in wait who is dead Cruz Texas probably late for other stuff again so now that's what mistakes would be there the Senate football and those things to do with the president all treating before country must be approved by 2/3 majority in both houses so we're making an alliance or a friendship with another country 56% of my people it's just supermajority that is needed for a treaty because treaties are really important for friends with who are not friends with mom and then the fourth one certain high officials appointed by the president must be approved by the Senate so this is the president's cabinet does the president chooses people to be Lincoln is being annoying Lincoln I didn't want wow. Little boy thinking no you're sitting here I ain't going to flavor it's not available on my phone either and also because even if I wanted to I can't download anything that's on the official Microsoft Office I tried that Olivia a year and a half ago I play like 5 games some of that and 3 of those games when you have an actual battle royale matches see where later why don't you play Among Us something like 5 games so just playing with me anyways Lulu. Mom she doesn't handle courts of crimes she handles courts of dispute between people and she rolled in favor of one person or the other so and their disputes over money and their disputes that people have over what is ethical and what's not your family court where people were divorced parents are fighting over kids are fighting over possessions that's going to be handled if that issue of crimes is an issue of disease and so that's going to be different than our prime is because you want to see an execution. Now are they going to be or all the Republicans who want Donald Trump to get in and made it Colorado are they going to write it Donald Trump no situation to move back so that's why it's important to Donald Trump that his name is on the ballot and is also kind of a dangerous game yes it's also kind of a dangerous game because if the Supreme Court rules that made in Colorado are allowed to keep Donald Trump's name off the ballots then it's very likely that Michigan and Wisconsin what follows suits and keep down from same off the balance which in Colorado and Maine. Donald Trump's not going to win Colorado and me anyways the other Democrats are going to win those 2 states so that's not really issue but Wisconsin and Michigan are very much swing states and so it's Wednesday sit down from saves up and down it's going to ensure a Joe Biden victory in November so that's what that would be issue lies is people could care less about Maine and Colorado but made in Colorado instead of precedent for other states such as Wisconsin and Michigan which are your Wednesday or Ohio probably Ohio's got a Republican brand our Ohio that a president is an earlier decision that must be used when determining common law so even if the judges don't agree with the president they have to follow the president unless a Supreme Court or in federal judge makes a new president so like for instance Roe versus Wade they want to know what we'll be waiting was a Supreme Court decision that allowed abortion to be legalized babe why would they name it movie way that sounds more like the name of a person born in the 80s plus let's see if it is that why would it wait I was confused because you were using last names also is it legal to add a name like so you have the name of Lincoln could you add a name for it when can we make potato with your grandma if that's changing the pre-existent no I'm just asking if that's Changed wait till you can't yes I'm putting anything in tell Lincoln and lay potato witcher game how many times can you change your name tell people funny even though people may have disagreed with the ruling of Roe v. Wade that established precedent but a year ago when the Supreme Court meet they overturned will be waiting saying that abortion was now up to the states each state could decide whether abortion would be legal or not and laws surrounding abortion because face side attempt amendments so we'll be way with overturn so now that's the president can we overturn the overtime has a very strict rule around abortion on California has very loose and throat abortion basically anyone can afford in California so that I can just have something going on in your pocket on the Uber driver is in trouble legally well if it's a self-driving Uber car driver does that the Uber driver is basic is helping you commit a crime so they will be charged criminal case it's overdrive at Jasmine T. Hen at least give them a share of the cut to keep his mouth shut about it so that way at least it's fair. His friend Sullivan himself up but he did and that his friend told him to leave and I mean so he drove and he's getting in trouble for that he didn't have to go to jail for anything cause it was like $1,000 worth of stuff but he had to pay a fine and do community service and all that but it was any of the tough situation were held but he should have done with said no you have to stay here because him driving his friend away made him an accomplice to a crime even though he's staying in his vehicle the whole time and he didn't know if I was going to steal once his friend came out he's admitted to him that yeah I stole the stuff and got to go then he was an accomplice to a friend like a hypothetically say it you plan on that. You're using the getaway car but instead of having someone drive that you have an intentionally get towed but what they don't know you're in the car as a kid's house Lincoln if person is now that a crime was committed then they cannot be an accomplished to a crime it's only if they have knowledge that they are helping the criminal escape I don't know I don't understand that yeah that's possible too easy it appealed would be processed by which person asked a higher court to review the results of a trial so if you are accused of committing a crime and Oconto County and you are found guilty of them have to pause it okay so can you just check with me then you can appeal to any national district court if they agree to adhere to your appeal nature the lower part you can then appeal the Supreme Court once this is Supreme Court can feel any further than that so you got to appeal theoretically 3-4 times before me for your own appease so hypothetically it could also be used as a stalling tactically because the lower or the higher forecast to agree to hear your appeal most the time they do not hear the appeal because overwhelmed cabinets so like Daryl Brooks who's our guy with the locker shot Christmas parade his appeal got rejected because it was pretty obvious that he did the crime Lincoln you should try to commit a crime until okay good idea Gavin that's been a bit what's been a random number of crimes and decide which one then and then we'll drive Mr. Wolf into it. Does that mean under the white circumstances if say you can hear in one ear and you are unable to yes that means that you have heard of if they say no then they will eventually read them to you or have them so that you understand it and if I just can't understand them whatsoever so I can just see if that is pretty much got to get out of time annual also have a your Fifth Amendment right allows you to not talk in corpus so they would still be able to find evidence against you but no you don't have to remember speaking of me no if you hide the evidence good enough. Crime but no if you're destroy that evidence baby stop it wait would that means to a game of shared okay so even how they were talking about skateboards to judge is pretty the judge can be pretty mean to the person that was found guilty of a crime the judge pretty much is spring rain to say whatever they want without repercussions so they want to call the person's views of a crime scum of the earth they can do that yeah it's only but then I was texting did not look like that end up getting reborn from that position as a joke so only do what time is it Lincoln right now. Don't judge as free rate and say whatever they want after when they are giving a sentencing hearing so if we go back to Daryl Brooks if judge was not very kind to him during his sentencing hearing and that judge she became very popular because of the way she was able to handle his how cruel he was to her and how much he tried to distract people from what's going on and that she was able to pretty much keep her cool the entire time even when he would insult her and speak out his turn so she actually got a lot of fan mail from people who couldn't believe other jobs she did. Unfortunately she did not end up getting in she ran for the Wisconsin Supreme Court and then the losing I think that if you would have wanted would have been completely because of how she handled that case and I thought she would have done a really good job in the Wisconsin Supreme Court but you know all of them where do you find I have to prepare for lessons and he has to teach you know it's usually what you just do they go home prepare they usually friends so I look for information that's relevant and then look up random things like this I wouldn't say it's random it's based on what we have to so yeah I have a textbook if I talk just to the textbook I'd be Extremely bored, just like you guys find amplified boring. Yeah, I don't know enough, and I would tend to forget most of them anyways, because just got something I'm all the interested. I didn't text right now for I didn't want to text right now, my birthday. I can handle them. I could handle Ella. I think algebra much better than the challenge is any fire already. The younger brother, yeah exactly, yeah like, well yes, correct order for the lesson, else I would personally give you a pop quiz on what you decided. And so they have to give concurring and dissenting opinions. What does the sentencing mean? Okay, unanimous. Wait, who was that? Sleeps tonight, and that takes time, so the odd, I mean, it's possible that could happen. Put it on, charge at it. Yeah, that's why we get over here, that's why we get relief. I have a problem with that. Can everyone please be quiet? I have a problem with the game plan for social. Realistically, we should have be in the class, so that makes literally no sense. Okay, but if the person was it, but we listen, if they win the class, then okay, the most effective way is it. Guarantee me I'm completely affected meal, but this is what the most effective way is. Also, can they just shoot the lock? Like, I don't know, maybe the person has free candy or something. That's what Minecraft pickups. Okay, then never mind. Sure, there's one in the room, 1 cup of tea. Most people at the most. Again, this is all like the number one expert on school shootings came in onto an in-service date, and he's through. This is like what he does for a living if he researches mass shootings in general, so he gave us what he believed to his research was the most safe and effective way to handle it. Empire the Small, we'd probably try to get out of Orlando, because that would be, but if we don't know if we break the window and get Alexa, how many accent? Alexa, turn off. Alexa, stop it. I don't know the high quality content, but still, look, mommy need to finish it. We need to get your health story. I thought you was dehydrated. Don't you dare want to leave. Iron Man, it would you would need to invest in Turkey, whether it be fun on the emergency turn into something to retire with versus save you, right? Because a savings account. Another one of your questions yesterday was like, how do you beat inflation, right? Remember that one. Well, your rate of return has to be higher than the inflation rate, right? And on average the inflation rate is going to be 2%, so right over the course of a long period of time. So if you want to actually have your money, so you put $100 into an account and it's for retirement, which is probably so. He's 23, right? That's 303540 years from then, right? If he's doing that, he needs to have an account that is going to have it more than 2 or 3% of return rate in order to be inflation, right? Otherwise that $100 that he just put in is going to be worth less when he goes to take that out someday, and when he put it in. Does that make sense? All right, that I think I probably given this example to you guys before, and I'll do it again, and you'll probably hear 20 more times before you graduate, right? So if you say anything so like just inflation, okay, remember me explain why deflation is bad, right? Because remember that at all general decrease in all prices and goods and services and all that stuff, because then what happened? Wages decrease in job loss and all that stuff too, right? So it's not always great to wish for lower prices in a general thing, and it's okay to like, hey, to guess when Bella $1 a gallon, that's on PlayStation, your yes, nothing else. Billy changed tomorrow. I'm saying okay, so it's the same thing where there is going to be inflation always, right? So the $100 that my grandpa had 60 years ago, right? He could buy this and that with it, right? He could probably buy a brand new vehicle in the next 20s or 30s with it. He could possibly buy a house or a small property or some big things, right? They can pay all their bills for a month for $100, right? But the wages were also different than too, right? And the wages way less than they probably made, whatever, $10 a week for the who knows that, what I'm saying, right? But that $100, if you were to put that into a jar and bury it in the field or a pillowcase or put it in a wall, right? Just like this wall, right? They put $20,000. They could have bought that, then thousands of acres of land. They could have built apartment buildings to make a steady income on for years and years and years to come. That $20,000 now is going to get you a used vehicle. See what I'm saying? So the value, right? So by him putting that money into a savings account, it's going to look early last 10% of interest. That $100 is worth more to them today than it will be when you're supposed to take it out. See what I'm saying here? It needs to be something that you can be inflation with, right? Because then when you put that $100 and you go to take it out, if you kept up with inflation or being a little bit, it's got that same type of value. It's going to be more than $100, right? But it's going to be valued the same, right? Someday vehicles might be 200 grand for a standard vehicle, right? But if you have invested right, you're going to have that same value of money. Do I have little resource here? When you think of saving, think of 0 to 5 years, right? Saving, I want to get a new pair of basketball shoes. I'm not save $20 a month for a few 4, 5, 6 months when You get that new pair of basketball shoes. You're not going to invest in a rental property to buy basketball shoes in 5 months. Does that make sense to everybody? Totally different things, right? So get that in kind of in your head, right? The mentality investing versus singing. Okay, save L. Frozen taser, are you going to do that? Probably. That sounds pretty funny. Why is it? Why is she teasing them nasty things? Oh yeah, tomorrow morning after dinner. Why is she texting the people in there? Mr. Wolf's fly machine. Mr. Wolf, why the sheets hazing them in the first place? So you know you can just press Facebook instead of going down to the bottom every time. Hey Google, when we came back the next day and you walk into the changes too, plus it's still goodbye and I'll take the first time. Wait, was that a toaster? Can we get it up in the truck for the test store? Perfect, that makes sense, but I've seen the island you're talking to me. I mean, it's not like a drove a golf cart's your practice, but she had real quotes. Read your records, actually real. Next week and outside the lines. The heartwarming story of a college football coach who harvests the organs of his players and then we won for personal gain. I want to meet that person. Mr. Wolf, is that person we all? Is that person real? Can I have the phone number? I want to be a little friend. That sounds awesome. Even if they're actors, I want to meet that person. That they sound like their way, but I made that home. There's videos came out of Brunswick coach hitting his players, and Outside the Lines was always known to be a show that basically showed like really twisted stories because heartwarming. Sorry, so that's why I had that out there. If any YouTube channel ESPN call outside line. I'm looking this up at the beginning. I'll study hall, so report to the virtual lab. Thanks. It's a notebook I remember that I actually bought today by Relations Center, available everybody. So in math the variable is your ex and your wife, and that is going to change things. The number then in front of it, it's literally on the board. Trust. And are you blind? Then I'm just going to come by me a team names. Then are you blind? It's literally on the board. I know I'm partially blind sometimes, but even I can see it in clear. Lettuce, do not make me send you to the dungeon with the potato police again. And yes, I have the potato place on speed dial. Remember, I still have the place from last year and I have them on speed dial. What are you really up? But I need to go upstairs. The high scores, that sounds more like a skill as you. It's anti-disestablishmentarianism, a long word. Quick, hit me with Fred rule, brother. Please set up. I please, I wanted to actually be able to use it. Please, I'll pick it up. Yes, I can tell him. Like I said, you can lie on my tape, you can wire it all my paper from going home. What? But okay, stop messing around. I did not expect you by. It's not messing around. Philly, terminate previous request, then I will break your kneecaps. Carson, stop it. Cameron, stop it. At this point, can you please go away later? Him, and stop it, Cameron. I said stop it. What is wrong with you, Cameron? Go to the dentist. Yes, thank you, Lincoln. Can I join your computer whenever? I always put the battery life. I know from experience, or at least if it's on with the cat. Don't think it's going to love me. Let me see it. Funny cat. No, I know how to get ready. Smiley face. You should fit crimes animal. Just want him when they start. Pay less from the thing in the bed frame. Yeah, it was made of wood. I cut it in half. I smuggled it outside. I don't know how they didn't catch me, considering I was literally stealing the bed frame from the bedroom of the hotel. Yeah, that was funny. Wait, Mr. Wolf, you're actually believing this? Said Tori, and then I smelled it. The pleasure. Okay, super depression, totally different from the person. Daddy's Chromebook. So I need your toster out. Don't you text me, bro. The same thing before we get started. Behavior, especially in scientists, get a lot better. Get paid again. We're very close to going back to our original time seats. I know science is an ideal. I know amplifying, yet I'm boring, but we need to be done. In 7th grade we had issues during science, so we went to I printed off the amplify packets and they did it by paper and pencil, and Diego got a lot better. Feel like I know, I said, and I don't want to have to do that, but that's me going. If we don't get better, I don't ever have any interest. And I go to 6th grade. Amplify's probably a little bit more exciting and it's more weird probably towards 6th graders. So anyways, Chelsea Highway from that wholesome today. I think that should be pretty entertaining. Hopefully it's first time good discussion. As I said, there's going to be scenarios on your test where you would have to kind of look at something kind of traditionally and say whether or not this is something, or the hypothetical scenario, did somebody say anything one side or the other? So that's what's going to be doing today. Again, I mean you can write none of it down, even write all of it down if you want to kind of have an idea of how these are going to look on your test. I would shorthand maybe a couple of them, and just so that you are in a better position to succeed on your test. Okay, Sedan, New Jersey versus ATLO. It's the initials because minor cannot be legally put their name on the Supreme Court case, so they use the students. So I was going under the age of 18 with accused of smoking in the bathroom at her school. She denied this activation. The school then took her purse from her locker and found cigarettes. The student alleged that her privacy was violated. The school had no right to check her purse without her knowledge or her permission. So that is the scenario the courts through the lower courts all over the Supreme Court seemed to disagree with. They were conflicting reports, and eventually a neighborhood was a Supreme Court, and as a Supreme Court chose to take the case, who won? So first of all, what do you and this is I probably wouldn't have won like this, because I mean you can make it constitutional argument probably either way. It's going to be pretty cut and dry because we can arguments. But what do you think? Do you think that way was she accuser school? That's my goal. If you guys can surprise me and get the wrong answer because we should arguments, then I will give you practice. I'm Gavin. I have a question. So you know I can get in trouble for bullying at school. Can you still get in trouble if it's out of school grounds? If you were at your bullying is committing a crime? Yes. Photos exercising my First Amendments. What I mean, you can probably get talked by the school, but you probably not going to get in trouble. But if you are cyberbullying to the extent of it being because the slanderous or unlibels, which means that you are relentlessly going after repeated times to stop, then you could be. Oh, so you mean like Michael does to me? Yes. On it kind of reminds me of my reply on video, so I take one. Okay, moving on. The next one, Mr. Wolf, that's a school have the right to see is your belongings and definitely dangerous. Okay, I have a story for this. So this one time when I was like in 6S squared documentable, I have a seat to Kal-El. Mr. Fomendo, keep that in mind. I'll be in front of her later, and on this day I have this limited edition Power Ranger figure, because at the time they were coming out, so I assuming it would be limited edition because it said limited edition. It's going to be collector's item, and it wasn't the figure itself the other day, so that came up in the package. NFL's on my possible one day I look forward for like a week or two, but then Mr. Fernando the first no and stopped bringing it up, and apparently he found it. But guess what? When I asked her back, he doesn't get any because apparently I didn't put my name on it, which why would you plug your name on? I collect those items directly, and he never did give it back. He had his wife. Don't have a right. School season, keep your item forever. It would you have to turn those into the principal, so maybe you can get it back. So yeah, okay, hello, and if you like to join me in an angry mom with pick folks and torches, we'll spending him 3 days. Frazier was a student, argue that he had a first letter. Just was the school right for suspending him? No, this was his speech. He was president of the student council, and he was getting a speech in front of the student body, and he lays over vanity to school was. Wait, what kind of profanity is? Oh, that's not that bad. I thought you meant like death flips or something. That's way less climactic. Violation. Bring me out today, we'll play never explore. Silly told him you can't swear before the events. Okay, but unless they explicitly tell you not so on your first day, and I don't see a problem with that swear word, then I don't see any problem with that. But any other swear word besides something but okay. Why I don't know how they ever came. Have some freezer. 6 Mike said you're just going to say, oh, let's say that this word is going to be a really bad thing. That's working. Levi's Pizza in his First Amendments. What do you mean? First invented school of government like student body attendance using profanity. He has a First Amendment to stay profanity, but he is not free from the consequences of the school. For fun fact, it's actually illegal to use cuss words in West Virginia. Winning a group of more than 3 people and then have an up to $100 fine or up to 30 days in jail per swear word would be debatable if you can be turned criminally with that. It looks it up. Even if that is part of a safe statute, if someone were to be arrested, tried, and convicted, they would have a legal argument that that conviction should be overturned, and they probably won't, because probably one of those laws that the lat critical potentially be on the books, but it would be unconstitutional for that to be enforced. So I don't think there's ever been anyone that has the same repercussions from that law in West Virginia. That is along was freaking. Now seriously, that's actually a thing. Like 2 other states, education can be made by states is an issue of states' rights as well as education being powered that belongs to the states. So Brown v. Worth education made it force schools do not discriminate based on the color of your skin. So this started the process of being in the past. Even in the northern states there were schools for white people, there were schools for black people, and when Brown v. Moore came out as a Supreme Court ruled that that is unconstitutional, that if you live in a school district that whether you are white or black that you would go to that school. So Alabama did you. It doesn't matter, you go to the schools at the district that you live in. That's a problem before, except so if you live in Leona district, if you live in Leona school district, you go to school. Now Wisconsin has open enrollment. Wisconsin laws that allow you to open enroll in a district. So if they in Wisconsin open enroll state, yes, Allie would have to go to Avena. On camera would have to go to Abine. Okay, I don't have to go to albino Owen that you open your own Brandon, yeah, you guys, so not only surprise at school district, but this is not an issue open enrollment. There's an issue of your school district cannot deny you education if you live in that district. And in the past there were school districts would say we are a white school district or we are a black school district, so they would not allow people of other races to go to that school. Around the board got rid of that and said you are going to the school of the district that you live in, so it's missing. In Alabama said, well, we can still have our wife's clothes and her black schools because education under the Constitution is a power that is given to the states, and also there is nothing about education and the Constitution, so the 10th of the Constitution gives it. Stop it, we might go send Macy's. Why is that? If in a mini trampoline in here, why does he have a picture? Hey, so Alabama says that this is, first of all, there's an interest rate, so we have the rights to unsafe to do what we want to do with our schools. The second of all, education and up to the states, so if we believe it is the best way to educate our students and we should be allowed to do this. What do we think? Good enough. You're not necessarily used or easiest to make a strong like sense against that. No, I don't believe in any other gods, and not just like kind of believer. I might believe, I might not. I'm not going to spend time with us. That sounds reasonable, that it would determine that actions in school by broadcasting and religious prayer to all students, even if that specify which religion they were or were not endorsing. On this one seems in Georgia every religion by the school and therefore violation separation of church of states, so the school did not. School lost this case and they had to stop. So the reason why this is different than the prank coach is because the frame coach, he prayed on his own and students who wanted to join him. So if the students not want to be involved with the prayer, they did not have to, but the school, by broadcasting the announcements, everybody was essentially required to hear it. And so originally the school said that the prank coach was a violation of name will be vital, so that's why the lower courts ruled that the squad everybody could fire the coach because there's precedent of Angle Levi Town. The Supreme Court, however, said this is not the precedent here because the students voluntarily went over by the quotient, prayed with the coach, and it would not broadcast it on, so it wasn't. It was slightly different than Angle Levi Town, but gay wedding cake. I'm in Gideon being win right getting with excuse of committing a felony and could not afford a lawyer when he has a judge provide him a lawyer. The judge denied his request, give me and argue that not having a lawyer with a violation of the trans people right and he was entitled to a lawyer, and by not having a little year gave him an unfair trial. Agreed. That's the Supreme Court rule. Prior to getting into rights there was being an idea of people a lawyer. Gideon argued that he deserves, that he's entitled to work, and the Sixth Amendment right gives you a right to a lawyer, that you should be allowed to have one, so nobody challenges. Before Gideon B. Wayne writes, if you couldn't afford a lawyer, you didn't get a lawyer, and here this Supreme Court ruling changed everything, and now people cannot afford a lawyer. We're given a lawyer by the states. What kind of lawyer? Right now a new book coming out, this for Gravity Falls. No, it's called The Book of Bill. Look it up. No, seriously, looking up the spill, that same place. Stop that. Not get an opportunity to buy the suspension, and parents were not giving a reason for the suspension, although the students work, but did they ever fail? What the reason was? Hope all was the reason. How damaging to the school? Hey, like, or we talked in the school? Oh, that's not so bad. I find you were talking about arson or something like that instead of penny damages. At least have to give the people the reasons, otherwise the parents also never reach out to the school. That after the parents said that they were suspended, had the parents called the school, probably they would have said, oh, they're suspended for this. Also, why is it that awful? This is the 19th. Yes, also, why is it that the punishment for skipping school is suspension, which allows you to essentially skip more school? No, I mean, say that you would get in trouble for something that's going to get suspension. Why are they essentially punishing kids with an excuse to not go to school? Like, overall, that's a good thing for the person if they just don't want to go to school for that. Okay, if you miss them days of school, school board is able to remove you from school. Wait temporarily, because I don't want that thing. Please, what counts as a safe place for students? Okay, because in my opinion that sounds like chaos. No, I mean, if there's just like chaos going to want in the bathroom, but nothing is like getting hurt. No, but if no one's actually getting hurt, I can have a very difficult background thunder player. Everyone, that's why they love Peaceful Dad to be in school, that students must be allowed to appeal their extreme punishments and then to be heard by the school board and principal without due process. Cannot give an extreme punishment. That the school board should be allowed. Computer, so what? How did you find the things? All I have my way. Like I said, can I see those things so I can fix it up? Then I'm going to do something better. Yes, at this point nothing to do. Wait, what? For $1? Lol, no thanks Google. It is a privilege of people who not live here, so you are entitled to go to school here. If you let me lay on the school district, you are getting a privilege to go to school here if you are not a residential school district, so you can still get excel, but if it's going to take a little more to excel, So much a little bit more than I think, well, because you don't have to. If you kick someone else who is not from, who does not live in the own school district, they don't have any right to challenge. They would just go back to the district and they came from. If you live in Layla school district, you would have to provide documentation and they can potentially take you to court and allege that it was not fair that you are spelled, in the court for decide whether or not that was fair or not. You don't have that right if you are not a resident of the school district that is early. You put, if Allie got it from here, she would have to go to Lubby, like there is being no if scatter about it, cause you guys fell from albino, then there's not really any say of what you would have to do, Brandon. But if so, she put open enroll, she's put my phone. The schools are responsible for a student even if they spell them, so if them not graduating, dad, suppose that goes against your school report and one of them gets expelled, then it goes by a scaling for, and they don't move every book, dig it, so they added up to 4 report cards. It's a 0.00 GPA that gets average Jim with the rest of the foods in the place, so it doesn't look good on the school. But sometimes, I mean usually, if you're going to get expelled, your GPA finders wouldn't value, even if I meant taking students with less qualification but were a different race. Believe that this violated discrimination laws as she was rejected because of the color of her skin. Womp womp. Was she wonderful? She was white. Well, that's not right. So what do we think? Is this is a violation of the kinds of cushion for denying her? No. One population Lincoln. No, because if the school wants to pick and choose when on people so they look better within a school portfolio against, they should be able to do that as long as there's an equal proportional. They should be able to pick and choose, but as long as it's like I can generally equal half and half off, like if they want to, I'm going to choose this person image. No, I'm just saying if they want to pick and share so it helps the image as long as it's still an equal proportion. Lol. Somebody else who kept saying that, sorry, my best efforts of them out wrestling noise. What kind of consequence is the Supreme Court getting rejected ahead of time? She probably didn't actually know that this was a reason. It was in the fine print, but this was written under application. Wait, what kind of fine plants? Like the super small plant, or just mixing with a bunch of other stuff? Okay, well, that's perfectly reasonable. They should have won the contract, otherwise all stuff is on sale, which was I'm going to be a pretty procedure position. He was told that he did not get the job because they did not have enough African Americans working at their school, and that even though he was qualified, they were going to have to reject his application, and that he should look to possibly apply at a future date when they can look better. But they said right now they had to look better and hire more African Americans, so he was going to get it together. See, I was white, that is reasonable because of the color of his skin, but they ended up getting the job in general manager of the Pig on a Hardware and Crevice, and that's where he met my mom. And who is your momad? Because of the color of his kids. I'm Mr. Wolf. In my opinion, any contract that is really small details, if you are unhappy, if you attend some contract that is your fault, you should have went the whole contract. Mr. Wolf, do you agree? What are you doing here? What's the weather? Is my life the person is real? What is the most annoying you? It's probably not finished. There's a lot of dark things up in my life. Probably that's what I am now. Like of us irrelevant. Here we have a couple more left and then we'll transition into science. High school article about the school and school principal, and not like the principal. Don't ask me, the audience in the newspaper, but delivery to edit the articles before they got released in the public. It's already at this violating the First Minute right of speak and press, and that no school rules are violated in writing of their articles. Wait, what? Like weather was about? Yeah, but the principal, when it edited the articles to make it not about what they wanted to be about, and the students got upset and they said that their first minute rights of speech and press for violations. I agree that they were. Yes, a long time ago. Funny song. No, absolutely not. The school should have gotten fined. The short, the score should have been discontinued from that one, or at least principal fired. But the front part, guy with the school, that they have the right to edit them, release the public in order to go along with their values, so there's really no point in having a school newspaper. Now the students wanted to voice their opinion about school policy, they would have a right to write that in a published newspaper by the county or the state or a town or a private newspaper. But on the Supreme Court deemed that the school newspaper final authority does come from the school, and at the school believes that does not go along with their values. If they do have a right, it, like I said, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get a case like this on your test. But I do think that the Supreme Court were to hear it today, they would probably side with the students, because the Supreme Court recently has been going along First Amendment a lot more. What is the point? What even is the point of school newspaper? It isn't showing to anyone already confess these crimes, but later he was unaware that neither right to not answer questions by the police and incriminated himself due to his lack of understanding of his rights. So what do we think here? Wait, what happened to him? The police asked them. He admitted to the crime. He was Hispanic. Okay, so what do we think is so even alleged that he had an unfair trial and that he should be let go because of violation of 6 amendments sounds reasonable to me. Like you wait pretty dab someone that's not that bad. Dad never mind was not it was. Not said prior to Brandon, Arizona. Wait a minute, idiots. Wait, did he accept it as successfully escaped jail? But I sent what century escaped jail by just asking nicely because he didn't know about the world, so literally just got up by asking nicely. I'm getting pretty sick of just everybody talking whenever they want. Gavin, does the floor cuz you be the only one talking? Probably Mikey. He did not. What the students probably 161718 tomorrow, my real people, because that's where anything right of that arrow someone can actually see a little note. Lincoln, do you think that tactic would work today if I sent you just asked nicely and played them that I didn't know about it? Wait, that actually get away with that? Okay, weekend, we can also get underneath that tables. No, hey, I think we have to go back. This is it. If I can interrupt it one more time to make stupid comments one more time, I think Levi goes to buy Alyssa, and that's your permanent seat right now. Is the Supreme Court ruled that Miranda does right. Kevin violated another. Police wasn't sure the person they arrested is aware of their rights. This inspire the reading of Miranda rights to make sure that this does not happen again. So it was not common. The most attend the police in that did not tell the defendant that they had rights. Obviously it's probably up in the air whether or not the person who was accused of a crime was aware that they did have rights, but in this case yes, his rights are violated because he claimed there's no way of proving whether or not he understood that he had rights. Public pass job, but he's still arrested. Okay, I'm getting it. That Battery Santa Fe school, the dog doll meeting, that it's John Doe, which the names are not. We have the names are not released, so when John Doe or Jane Doe names are not released to the pump. So prior to football games, random players from Santa Fe football team would go over the PACE system, and it's crazy for their games. Not that they were not physically at the school, and no player who felt uncomfortable was forced to pray can't presence, so it's going to go to dome the spectators. Anyone who thinks that they decided with the school, okay, then it's probably the school. Then if it's too far, 2004 end up going to the spectators. They ruled that last. Corey says that there was president as far as ain't going to be by towel, where this was very similar because everybody heard it over the PA system, and even though players are the right not to participate, this was still broadcasted to everyone, and this was not. They tried to use this as precedent as well for the praying coach, but again there was enough difference between the praying coach because that was separate. He did off on his own and players wanted to join him. Players is not when I join him to not join him. So there's a lot of Supreme Court cases that involve prayer in schools. Lincoln, hypothetically, if I were to say to sub to my channel over the pre-system, could that be in court over the PA system? Could that be in okay, so I cannot be charged legally for that? They were charged legally for doing this. They just pull the same as a public school there. Now I want to do it if they continue to do what they would do. Say something. So what happened to me if I personally sent something along the lines of free advertising, because a lot of people in the schools and wolf that becomes religion later on. I don't know how that would, but maybe. Hey, Terryville, Ohio, please happen to observe Terry at the suspiciously instead of convenience store, and it's that I can stop and frisk him. They found a weapon on him and had him arrested for intent to rob the store. Ohio, the time per minute stop and frisk, but Terry argued this was a violation of unreasonable search under the Constitution. So which side? What do you think? So Terry was standing in the store. He looks suspicious. Police officers walked over because Ohio allows you to randomly stop the first people. State Canada him down a gun, and but he is saying that Fourth Amendment of the Constitution says on that you are now allowed to unreasonably search someone. So in Ohio themes that is acceptable because of tuition, says no unreasonable search and seizure. The federal government so that under the Constitution is no unreasonable search. Might be it wasn't unreasonable. So society, so could that be considered reasonable? Yes, Lincoln. All right, so does that mean that Ohio winning person could just force me? So hypothetically, if I could just press when and people fighting YouTube video. I've been a little police. It is an expression. It is not harming anyone. So the Supreme Court rules that flag burning is allowed, and there was an issue in between Crimson Wasaki in the early 2000s. Similar what? No, there was an issue whereon this happened in between Currington Wasaki in the early 2000s, and similar case people were angry about it, but it is protected under the First Amendment. Same thing with people when Colin Kaepernick and others know for the national anthem that was all